Hello, everybody,
Hello.
and welcome back to this SWAN pricing show. My name is Filip Fucic. I'm a pricing mentor.
And I'm Phil Sota, the owner of growth marketing agency Mauya.
Today, we're talking about an infamous way of looking at clients, which is clients from hell. Now, clients from hell is a graphic way, let's say, to describe something. However, there's actually a webpage, I think, it's called clientsfromhell.com. If you want to have a good laugh, go and check it out. That has nothing to do with either of us, but it's really instructive. And I would like to define, just so it's not just any unpleasant experience with a client. What I mean by a client from hell is somebody who is acting unreasonably, also unpleasantly, and worst of all, they're reluctant to pay, right? And that combination is unfortunate, but it usually isn't entirely the client's fault. Now, it's sometimes not even our fault. Sometimes it's about an experience that the client had with somebody else or several people before us.
Yeah.
And now they're acting defensively because they'll be damned if that, pun intended, if that happens again. So I think here is this can happen to anybody, but there is a difference between let's say commoditized services, which in the show we call it the duck case, and the SWAN case, which is the expertise based one, because in expertise based services there's simply a much higher risk that the client won't see it coming, because when they don't understand at all what is happening. So you want the logo? Oh, right. So you'll choose some colors and a font. You're done in 15 minutes, right? Well, okay, an hour, right? Tops. Because what? You're gonna check the stuff that I already have, and go to a database and choose one and choose the other, and that's it, right? There's nothing more to know about this. And then the potential for surprise is much higher, right? Because they don't understand this. If it's something that they do understand, like, okay, washing all of the windows on our building, it's a big building, it's going to be a big bill, right? But something like developing a strategy or developing a campaign or something like that, well, you just type some letters, right? It's just something, just something. And so they will think that they're because if they have a time and materials mindset, or it's simply what they expect to be paying, then they will see their wishes, their needs, but their wishes mainly, as simple, because there's not much to it, right? And simple means quick, and in time and materials, quick means cheap. And you have to and in a way, it's kind of our fault as well, because we want to seem affordable, so we stick to best case scenarios. So somebody says, oh, this can be done in a week. Well, technically, if everything goes well, what I heard is yes.
Yeah.
And then it takes us 3 weeks, which is completely normal. And they say, what is this?
But you said.
But you said. But you said, right? I remember my first company, we made prototypes of board games. So one of the deliverables was the rule set. So how do you play this? And I remember, I think every client said, yeah, but we need the rules to be very simple. and they thought they were bringing down the price with this. They weren't, because it's very easy to think of a game and just write 20 pages or 50 pages of rules with all of the exceptions. That for that text to be clear and be done in like half a page or 2 pages, that's months and months of work. So you can have 20 pages in 2 weeks. You can have 2 pages in 6 months. And this was completely counterintuitive to them. And to be frank, that was my fault.
Yeah.
Right?
You can often hear, you help me remind that specific case scenario, you can hear genius things are simple. Yeah, but the effort, time, and energy poured into simplification, that is completely another story, as you are mentioning. And that is the point. To do something simple enough, understandable enough, it requires devotion, time, energy, numerous working hours, etc., to be built in the end. Yeah.
So the yeah, I agree. It's you mentioned a scenario that you know about somebody who is what, a couple of weeks in and hasn't dealt with the bill yet, right?
Oh, I have so many scenarios. I have 2 immediately now on top of my head. The one
Go
you
on.
mentioned. I'll first mention one crazy scenario with potential client from hell, and how you can prevent the specific case and scenario and situation happening to you and your expertise, business, and practice. We had several years ago one client which signed a contract with us for middle level of complexity type of website needs to be developed, etc. For tourism. We entered the stage of creating user experience, user interface design, etc. Entire workflow, the stages, the process, time estimates, it's clear, because we are always over communicating things simply for the sake of prevention of any crazy cases and scenarios. But what happened? The initial layout wasn't according to the client's wishes. It was the working scenario. First draft, not even completed visually speaking. And the client made a massive problem with that, communicating with the project developer, with the designer, blah, blah, blah. After that, I simply called the client and said, okay, dear name, this is something which cannot happen. This is a draft version. In the draft version, you made this level of problem, and you know that this isn't a final version of first visual draft. I suggest that we part ways immediately while the communication is still okay. Do you agree? And I'm completely fine with paying you full paid amount in advance, returning you back, part ways, and that's it. Other side, the client was, it was strange for them. They haven't encountered it, didn't expect it, but that was a red flag. In the initial stage where everything was okay, the flow, initial conversation, awesome. But we get to the stage of potential objection and the level of problem which rise from that simple case and scenario, that was a massive red flag and a sign that it is time to reject the client, say bye-bye, thank you. I even help with colleagues who can continue the work if they're available, etc., and that was fine. The second scenario you mentioned is in the respectable realm of expertise service of branding. My friend, dear friend and colleague, which due to the personal relationship and friendship with the respectable client and customer, started doing the activities without previously defining the activity scope and financial compensation, which drove them to crazy scenario, working several months now, and they don't have clear picture of finances. So that is a potential big problem,
Yes.
and everything can go directly to the ninth circle of hell if they do not resolve that specific case and scenario as soon as possible before they enter the next layer of additional work and the activity. So what is my point? Prevention, 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 and over communication will resolve and save you from crazy situations and scenarios.
Yeah, because I mean, we've all, well, most of us have been there with some kind of service provider, especially like a vet or a mechanic. So you expected it to be in the hundreds, and it's in the thousands, and you know the service has been done. Now you can make a big problem out of it, but you're mostly expected to pay, and you simply didn't expect anything like it because it was just a sound. It was just, you know, the cat didn't sleep well, and now all of this, right?
Yeah.
So it feels bad from the client side. I'm not saying it's not.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes people will judge you by other people's actions. I mean, of course, there's always frauds. There's always people in dire situations. But before it comes to the ninth level of all caps emails, um, communication is, as you said, the only way, and people are afraid of not sticking to best case scenarios because the worst case scenarios can feel scary. But I think it's better to go in with slightly deflated expectations than to greatly inflated expectations.
Yeah.
And you can't really lose a client you never had, right? It's not that you're going to lose a client because, as in your first example, sometimes it's better to call it quits. We're not selling shovels. We're not selling, you know, vacuum cleaners. A sale is not always better than a missed sale. Sometimes a missed sale is a dodged bullet.
Exactly.
And I have no idea why that a client acted as if things were horribly wrong at the first draft. Maybe they had an experience. Maybe they didn't sleep well. It doesn't really matter. But the only so I don't know what the next step in that story was. Did you return the money or did you continue?
We returned immediately. The
Okay.
Same day. I even gave the referral to another partner who can maybe help them if they're available, and said thank you, bye bye. It was they didn't expect it, and definitely they didn't want that to happen. But they have produced with their reaction that respectable scenario, and for me it was completely a red flag and no go, because the only thought I had in my head, oh, what can happen in the next step if this is a problem? We don't have a problem, but it's a massive, massive issue. What can happen in further steps if they don't understand some level, maybe mismatch in some expectations and everything? No matter we were over communicating and everything as always, but still that was truly a prevention of potential disaster in further steps.
So exorcists are expensive.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's avoid reaching for that. So yes, as you said, you did your over communication as usual, and still happens. Sometimes it does. Just be ready to pull the plug. I think it's David Z. Baker again. I think he says he always puts his current clients' money in trust, not a trust, but a holding, bank holding.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really feel like he owns it before everything is completed.
Yeah.
So if he needs to boot the client, he doesn't feel like he actually lost the money because he never laid his hands on it, right?
Yeah, it's done, and when it is done, deployed and confirmed. Until
So
then,
the client,
it's in the clouds. Exactly.
so the client pays for it up front, but he doesn't. He puts it in a separate place in a bank that he can't touch until he says so, and he says so after which there's no chance of him being obligated to return it, because that makes it easier for him to pull the plug, and that that potential then gets him to act as he would, right? So it's the best of both worlds. He knows that the payment is certain because it's already in a bank account of his, but he doesn't feel like he owns it yet, so that he can pull the plug, right? So it's a little radical, but he charges a lot, and I completely understand why. Maybe one day when I grow up, I'll start doing that as well.
That is definitely a great practice, because most of professionals are finding themselves in crazy situations because they took that money, use it no matter for what. But as you mentioned, it's ours now. No, it's not. It's in the pending stage, whatever, until completion. It's out there somewhere, and the big black snake anaconda maybe is around it, and nobody can touch it, and that's it.
Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, in the duck world, you can still get clients from hell. Absolutely. It's just usually much clearer why they owe you the money, right? I recently talked to somebody who said, I mean, technically, if you worked for 2 hours and gave me everything that I wanted, it is more valuable than you working 20. But I know you only worked 2 hours, so you could have charged me less. No. No, not really. No. Because I mean, I always could have worked pro bono. What's your point? And this logic only gets everybody worse off, because I have to act like I can't do it in a couple of hours, so that you would see the value and you get it later. So I have to expend my mental energy into lying to keep you happy to pay this. So everybody loses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I mean, lying is morally wrong, but it also weighs on you. So what exactly did you say, and does that make sense with everything? And you have to remember what you say. It's just not worth it, right? It's just not worth it. So it's much better to simply say, yeah, okay, no.
Yeah, it's fair.
Cool. If you can't return the money for any reason, or you won't because you don't want to be treated like this, and they are at this level of dissatisfaction, sometimes there's not much you can do. That's true. So it pays to look at the signs up front, so not to get into the situation, because, and I think we mentioned this before, the way they act at the beginning, especially before any money is exchanged, has exchanged hands, usually doesn't get much better afterwards. It can get worse. It can always get worse. But it doesn't get much better usually. So if there's red flags, deal with them while they're still very small. By the way, I think we also talked about minimizing language. We said just at the beginning of today's talk. Listen to minimizing words. So I just need you to do this, and then you just that, and then, you know, while you're doing that, you can also do this, and you know, my neighbor could have done this, but I'm giving it to you as well. So minimizing language is a good indication that the client doesn't really understand what is at stake. So would you recommend to people to explain more of what's going on? So somebody wants the logo, and you can see they think that's just a combination of two graphic elements.
Uh,
Do you do
yeah,
that?
there. My approach is pretty much hardcore in the terms. I am rejecting those who are not understanding, but also where I see potential, and people aren't understanding initially the scope and line of work required to do something. I take my time, slight amount, to try to expand the topic for them. If I see open eye and understanding from their end, thumbs up. If not, I'm closing that conversation.
Yeah.
So I always give that respectable window to polish the situation. If I don't see that can go the right way, I am simply rejecting, closing the conversation about a business cooperation, because as you mentioned, it's it's a big red flag. I mean, just I can do it, but I just need help from you. Just, and other minimizing words, as you mentioned. It's clear indicator there will be a problem, not necessarily now, but in the future, because they don't know the scope of this work, and they also try to tackle your price and the engagement later on. Those who are open, looking for professional to resolve their case scenario and challenge without addressing the scope or playing with the potential scope, I need you to help me, to guide me, whatever, who are open in that terms and leaving the scepter of power in your hands. Those are the clients with whom I always suggest to work with, because there won't be entering the micromanagement, the price buying activities, lowering the price, and all other BS people have a tendency to do.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, it's very hard to educate somebody against their will.
Absolutely.
Right? If they don't get it, and they don't get that they don't get it, you just forget about it. I mean, there's a lot of debate about educating the client. You can do that, but you can show somebody the ladder. You can't push them up them.
Yeah, exactly.
So if they don't think that they should know something more about what they're asking, then it's not worth it. And they're going to go to Fiverr anyway. And it's a big business because there's so many clients that don't really understand. And what they're going to get there is going to be probably more worth than what you're going to pay, but still of very poor quality compared to what they would get with you. Is just going to be a deflated price because of the direct competition, which I think is madness, but hey. And then sooner or later, they will realize, or they won't, but usually they realize, okay, but now I have to actually do it seriously, and not disconnect it from everything else. Cool.
Yeah, there are a lot of people generally in business who are living in some level of illusion, because simply due to their existing self-perception of business success, and they're thinking they collected all the knowledge of the world, and they are tackling with everything, and they know everything. Run away from them. When?
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, because when you hear something like that, then it's holy water and cross time. Cool. I think we rounded it well up. Do you have anything to add?
Nothing to add here.
Okay. Where can people find you, Philip?
People can find me on LinkedIn, also my agency page, Agency, and my consulting practice, philipzalota.com.
Cool. People can find me on fearless-pricing.com and of course the ubiquitous LinkedIn. Thank you all for joining us today, and see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.